let's start, of course, with where things started going wrong first. And on that note, let me bring in Anika Mehrotra, spokesperson of the Congress. Anika ji, if I can go through a brief timeline of this events. In 2006, the Delhi government under late Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit decides to set up this plant. In 2009 itself, a resident files a complaint in the Delhi High Court pointing out exactly what Mr. Devraj was saying, that this violates the Delhi Green Area laws. It has no business being in Sukhdevia. This was in 2009, 2 years before the plant was even set up. In 2011, the plant becomes operational. 2012, January, in fact, the plant becomes operational. Within 1 week, residents start noticing that there is dust being accumulated in their homes, on their cars, in their clothes, and they start complaining of respirational problems here. In 2013, this case was transferred to the NGT, and the NGT finds out that it was using untested and unapproved Chinese incineration technology. Now, this was a series of events happening. Well, to use a phrase from our current Prime Minister, it was a double-engine sarkar of the Congress in both Delhi and at the centre. Why was this not nipped in the bud?
Sir, I think garbage has always been a matter of great concern as far as Delhi is concerned. The Balswa, you can see it's heap and heaps are piling on. And similar goes in other places. I think garbage collection, garbage disposal, it has been of great concern. The thought behind was it to convert it into, renewable energy where it could be useful. The thought was obviously, for a benefit. But unfortunately, yes, you're right. If things were wrong, I think action should have been taken. But having said that, you see, the company who was doing it also needs to be blamed. But the other thing with garbage collection. Remember one thing, sir, the MCD was either with BJP or now with AAP, but the garbage collection was always never done appropriately. It was, mixed with the plastics to the vegetables, everything was all combined. So there was no segregation of the garbage. I feel...
Anika ji, I'm sorry. Anika ji, that's not what the NGT found out.
No, I think...
And that was not the problem, was not the collection of garbage. The problem was with the disposal of garbage, which the NGT has pointed out very clearly.
It starts with everything from the very beginning, you see, from the scratch. If things go correctly, I think when the emission would not have been that toxic. And more so using, technology which is not appropriate, that's a matter of concern. Yes, I think be it Congress or be it the present regime, we should have been careful about that. We can't take a risk of the health of the people, especially in the residential area. These thoughts should have been taken place, irrespective of which government was. I stand by it. And I'm sure the coming government, which is in power for the last 10 years, should now put its foot down. If the Congress was in power and allowed it to happen, despite, hiccups or whatever, it didn't start. But now it has been 10 years. What action has been taken? So the present issue still remains. And after COVID, I think is all the more reason to be more concerned. Look at the way people are, just abruptly at the age of 40, just collapsing. So I think, yes, a serious thought in terms of the centre government as well as the state government needs to be
Anika ji, the only takeaway I can get from it is essentially an admission that the Congress messed up and deservedly perhaps it was voted off power, at least in Delhi.
Sir,
and I take your point that, of course, what about the stakeholders who have been, at least in this case, let's admit that the inception happened was a problem. You admitted that. Let's now talk about the stakeholders in the present. One at the central level, one at the state level, and both parties at some level sharing responsibility of the MCD over the last 10 years. Let me bring in the BJP, Dr. Anil Gupta, spokesperson. Now let's talk about all the things that happened under the BJP. In 2017, the NGT, which I stress again comes under the Environment Ministry, imposes a fine of 25 lakhs on this project, on this plant, for failing to meet standards is the term. Yet the NGT refuses to shut down the plant, says that we will monitor it from now. I don't know whether there was any noticeable change. I don't think any noticeable change happened, because 3 years later, now the CPCB imposes another fine of 5 lakhs. So this is now a plant which has been fined twice by 2 different bodies for a total figure of 30 lakhs. Yet in the same year, in 2020, the Environment Ministry decides to expand the capacity of this plant by almost 50% from 16 megawatt to 23 megawatts. On what basis, sir, are these decisions taken? These are all decisions, by the way, which have been countered and have been appealed to by the residents in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, good evening to you and all the viewers. See, NGT is a independent body. It is a judicial body. They take their own decision and it has to be implemented. As far as this plant is concerned, I tell you technically 2-3 points. See, lot of the raw material for this plant is hazardous in nature. Though it is waste to energy plants, but lot of rubber products, plastic products, and all these types of material incinerated. But I think it is a faultily designed. And second thing is this: the ash generated in this plant is, as per the act, is hazardous in nature, and Delhi government should have made a arrangement to scientifically dispose of that ash. For last 10 years, the Delhi government has failed even to identify the site for the disposal of a ash that is family. I remember 2 years back, there was the public hearing by the Delhi government department for expansion, wherein the local residents have also protested. In spite of all that, the Delhi government environment department has had allowed the expansion of this plant. So they should be answered. They should answer why this expansion is allowed and why the management of this hazardous has not been
Dr.
care
Anil
of.
Gupta.
Second thing, the incineration which are there in these plants, I think they are generating lot of hazardous gases, which are hazardous in nature, like NOx, sulfur, and all these things. And it is the duty of the Environment Department of Delhi government to take action. NGT is a judicial body. Whenever the case is gone, I still remember
Dr. Anil Gupta,
when the expansion procedure.
Dr. Anil Gupta, with all due respect, do you understand how ridiculous your argument sounds? Now, you said that it is a plant which is emitting toxic gases. It's a plant which is coming up with toxic waste which needs to be disposed. This is a plant which is supposed to take care of toxic waste and convert it into clean energy. This is not a garbage producing plant. It is a garbage treatment plant which is creating more damage than good. So it's not any government's job to dispose the dump coming out toxic waste. It's this plant's job which is not doing, which is why the samples show 19 times the amount of cadmium, 11 times the amount of manganese, 10 times the amount of arsenic, 4 times the amount of lead, and 3 times the amount of cobalt. Clearly this plant, according to the investigation, according to the cases so far, according to the NGT, according to the CPCB, has not been doing its job. Now, my question is, this was known at least to the Ministry of Environment and Forests. Why then was a decision given to expand the capacity of this plant in 2020 from 16 megawatt to 23 megawatt?
This is what I mean to say. See, whatever you have mentioned is right. But it is the expansion, this go-ahead was given by the Delhi government. You can check the records. It is the duty, and who checked this plant? Delhi government environment department. Whose responsibility is to dispose the ashes? It is the Delhi government. It is not the central government. This is the state government plant. See, when NGT came into picture, they say, why this exists? Who is monitoring this? It is the pollution control body. They monitor these things. The environment ministry of the Delhi government maintains this. You can check the record. Delhi government has not made even a single scientifically disposal site for ashes. If you go by the records, the ash generated by this plant is hazardous in nature that cannot be disposed in the normal landfill site. It is to be scientific. It is to be disposed of scientifically. Wherein this Delhi government has failed to dispose of.
But that was the plant's job, and the plant is not doing it. My point is, who's holding this plant accountable? Let me